Hi, everybody. Welcome to another exciting edition of the SoCal Prep Report. I'm Rich Estrella, along with Mo Orr. Randy Rosenbloom will be joining us soon, and Bob was fired, so you won't be seeing Bob here anymore. At least not tonight. You won't see him. Bob's stuck somewhere on the freeway. Anyways, Mo, big week up and coming in football this week, man. The league races are all shaping up really well. Number 1 versus number 2 in the nation. They're calling it Prep Super Bowl 8. Since the year 2000, there have been 8 of these now. We're number 1 and number 2. And I think for the second time this year, this is the second time in 1 year we've seen 1 and 2 because IMG and Modern Day had met earlier.
That's right.
And I don't know who's keeping track of all these polls because a lot of them, the only one that really matters is ours because ours is the most accurate one. If you notice, there's not a lot of changes in our polls, man. You know what I mean? So even since last year, so we're doing pretty well on that.
I think we're doing pretty good. I think if you look at our polls, you see that the consistency of all of our teams.
That's right.
Rich even made some adjustmsts this week.
That's right.
All the arguing that we did last week came to fruition this week.
But
right?
Central Florida's still there. Do you believe that crap? All right, let's get into the No Love Club and take a look at how they're doing. And let's start off again with the defending state champ, Catella, 7-0, moving right along. This week they beat Century 62-0, and I'm sure that's going to be in Rosenbloom's new segment we're going to debut tonight. Garfield from the city section continues to roll 7-0. They look like they're going to be undefeated when we go to the last game of the season when they play Roosevelt in a couple weeks. So,
you think, huh?
Hey, Roosevelt's got a little something going on over there, too. They're not too bad, but again, right now they just don't look as good as Garfield, but that's not going to stop the fans from going there.
Well, Rosenbloom bet to differ. He's letting me know Garfield's going to win that game by a substantial amount. I don't agree. South
Hills, a perennial power always in the West Covina area up there. In the northeast section of LA County. Bam! 7-0, continue to move on. South Hills defeated West Covina 35-0. Ocean View is making their debut. Look at Ocean View, cruising along at 7-0, 56-13 over Cerritos this week. I don't know what's going on. I don't think Ocean View's ever been 7-0. But we haven't checked the facts. Hello?
You got the fact checker.
I got it. I just checked them. The last time Ocean View was 7-0, dinosaurs walked the earth. All right?
Jurassic World.
That's right. We just looked it up. All right, continuing on, we have Heritage Christian continue. They moved up one spot to number, what is that, number 6? Or is that number 7 or 5?
Yeah.
I can't even see this thing. But anyways, they were 30-14 over Village Christian. Northview checking in at number 6, 7-0, 49-0 over Baldwin Park. And, of course, Big Bear, 6-1, 42-0 over Riverside Prep. And, I have to give Big Bear a lot of love because look where they come from. They're up there in that resort community. There's not a lot of people up there, but to have a winning team like they have because they come down the hill all the time and take on schools much larger than them and have been, man, bear clawing everybody, man. They've just been ripping people up.
Look, I know we took a whole lot of grief last week about Sunny Hills, and it became something crazy.
Yeah.
Rich got emails and text messages about what's going on with Sunny Hills. Listen, they're out of the No Love Club. They get no more love.
Well, that Freeway League's tough. I got to tell you, La Habra, even though they started out like 1-4 or something like that, it doesn't matter. You got to see the quality of the opponents they play. They're playing everybody and anybody. I mean, they're playing some really good opponents. Not that Sunny Hills doesn't. It's just that when they start getting some victories, and man, they're leading everybody in the Freeway League by three-game lead on everybody after 4 weeks. It's just something to behold, but they've already fallen from grace. La Habra's going to be the class of that league again.
So when you look at this right here, Rich, what do you think? Which team will continue to be undefeated going into the final games of the season?
Catella's got to be the strongest one. The defending state champs, they didn't lose very much last year, as you could see. Garfield, too, right there. They played some quality opponents, and they just continue to move. South Hills, another strong contender. Ocean View, they're in uncharted waters. Heritage Christian, another team that does well. Northview, kind of in uncharted waters a little bit. I can't remember the last time Northview was this relevant. And, of course, Big Bear, 6-1 right now. Last year they were in the CIF championship game. So I think right now Catella, Garfield, South Hills have probably the inside track right now, but they're all getting love right now, and that's all that matters.
And that's all that matters. You say Catella, and Rosenbloom says Garfield.
Listen, Cattell is the defending state champ. It's hard to unseat the defending state champ until they lose, and they have not lost. So got to go with them still. All right, let's continue on now. Look at the Southern Section top 10. It's not the Southern Section top 10. It's just a top 10 from the SoCal Prep Report, and let's have a look because it's very relevant this week.
Oh, yeah.
Modern Day Bosco 1-2. Modern Day 6-1, but that one is just a joke. All right, that's just for fun. All right, have to make it look like Bosco might have some type of chance in this game, so we'll give Modern Day that loss. Continue on. Corona Centennial, Mission Viejo, both those teams are on cruise control right now. Oaks Christian jumped up for Orange Lutheran. The reason you see a 4-3 team up there is because look at the schedule Orange Lutheran has played, you know, and they're going to continue to play. Yeah,
you know? I agree. And
Bosco's what, number 1 or 2 in the country?
In some polls, number 1.
They lost to Mission
Our
Viejo.
poll, number 2. Yeah. I
mean, they've played some teams, man. They've played some really good teams.
Look, I think it's going to be arguably one of the best games after the IMG Modern Day game. It'll probably be one of the best games of the season.
All right, so we'll continue on. Jay Serra, following number 7 by Villa Park, Upland, and Capital Valley making their debut, replacing Servite. I give it to Capital Valley. I thought Capital Valley was going to get destroyed this week by Mission Viejo. And why did I think that? Because Mission Viejo's been destroying everybody. Teams with a bigger football resume than Capital Valley. However, Capital Valley was able to hang, only lose by 7 points this week. That's impressive. Now, some people might say, well, you know, Mission Viejo was done with all the big, tough games, and they were looking past it. I don't know what to believe in this one.
Well, I don't know. I think some people fought last week for the Servite, you know, Servite being in the top 10. I think that they got their rightful place out of the top 10. Capistrano Valley put up a great and very impressive performance last week versus Mission Viejo.
They certainly did, and it's paying off here in the rankings. So that's where we stand this week. We talked about the no-lovers. We talked about the teams here that are going to be in the national hunt for a picture. In a couple minutes, we're going to be talking about Modern Day Bosco because that is the big game. The second big game is Corona and Norco. They're not really crosstown rivals, but they are hated league rivals, and it's kind of cool that they're playing right now, right?
It's very cool that they're playing right now, Rich.
Yeah, I know, I got it. All right, so that's enough of this nonsense. We're going to go to Carlos Pena right now with the Desert Rat Report. Carlos, what's happening?
Hey guys, thanks for that introduction. Folks, welcome to this week's SoCal Prep Report. I'm Carlos Pena, and tonight I'm bringing you Oak Hills taking on Burroughs, High Desert Edition. Now, Oak Hills picking up a lot of momentum. They're getting ready for that final battle against Apple Valley at the end of the season. Let's see how they do tonight. First quarter action is all Oak Hills needed to quickly put this game away. Burroughs' first attempt at a punt was blocked by number 32 and recovered at the 1-yard line by Jalen Phillips. Bulldog quarterback John Stewart wasted no time and took it into the corner. Point after was good, 7-0 Bulldogs with 10:46 left in the first quarter. On the Burroughs' next possession, Tony Martin gets flushed out, only to be picked by Rodney Harris. Josh Stewart comes out throwing a 20-yard pass to Michael Delgado. Point after by Jacob McGovery is good, 14-0 Bulldogs. Less than 8 minutes in the first quarter, and Oak Hill, Jose Macias with a pick 6, Bulldogs 21-0. After an Oak Hill safety taking the lead to 23-0, Isaiah Gray finally gets the ball for this 6-yard run. Oak Hill's 30 with 5 minutes still in the first quarter. Burroughs gets the ball once more, only to have it picked by Jamal Jones for a 35-yard pick 6. The Bulldogs will go on to win this game 57-10. Other games to look at in the Mojave River League. Sultana over Hesperia 31-10. And the mighty Toronto Diamondbacks came off a 3-win streak and tried their luck against the Sun Devils, falling short 28-14. The Sun Devils defense held them to 7 total yards in the first half. The Sun Devils, led by Jeff Weiner, did something they've never done before: beat Serrano consecutively. First time in school history for the Sun Devils. They also went on to win their first ever league title of any kind since 1985. They look to be repeating again this year. Next up, the Desert Sky League. And the Cinderella story continues for the Saints, bouncing back from a loss to Silverado and beating the Jackrabbits of Victorville 28-14. Hosea Stokes led the Saints with a 43-yard pass for a touchdown and an 83-yard run. Silverado took care of business easily against Barstow, and it looks like the Hawks have their talents wrapped around this league, led by Anthony Jackson, who went 12 for 17, 118 passing yards, and 2 touchdown passes. Moving on to the Cross Valley League. and Campbell Hall over Excelsior 41-16. Excelsior experiencing some tough times after longtime coach William Rivera retired and new coach Sean Moore came in from A.B. Miller in Fontana. Silver Valley falls short to Southlands Christian, and the Bears have made their presence known in the high desert, beating Riverside Prep 42-0. Now switching over to girls volleyball as playoffs are about to begin shortly, and the talk of the desert is Excelsior winning big over Big Bear to take over first place in league. Both schools entered the court in a two-way tie for first place with an 8-1 record. Excelsior Eagles' Caitlin Payan led the way with 17 kills, 16 digs, and 5 blocks, and 2 aces, followed by Rose Sellinger added 4 aces and 6 digs, and Brianna and Carroll brought up the rear with 7 kills and 26 digs. They are now 1 win away from league title and are currently number 2 in Division 8. Good luck to the Eagles. Moving on to Mojave River League, Oak Hills up top. Now, Oak Hills going to have to fight it out in Division 5 with the likes of Ontario Christian, Los Altos, and Paloma Valley. Moving on to Desert Sky League Girls Volleyball, and Granite Hills slotted 2 in Division 6 in between Buckley and Grace Brethren. The Cougar season came to an end as they're getting ready for playoffs. Gentlemen, that's it from the High Desert. Back to you in the studio.
All right, Carlos, thanks for the High Desert Report. Now, I'd like to remind everybody about our sponsors. Yeah, let's have a look at those guys. Tonight's show sponsored in part by the Yard House at Brea. There you see the address on your screen, 160 South Brea Boulevard. Go down there, hang out, have a good time. Great food, classic music, like he says, classic rock, and just party. Of course, KM3 Project. This is a organization that helps people live with cancer. No money goes to research, helps people pay their bills. Great charity. The Jerky Zone. Of course, our friends at the Jerky Zone. Another sponsor, you want to fundraise, get on their website, check out the Jerky Zone, and man, they got a good product. It's so good. And the North American Scholastic Esports Federation. Going to have somebody on here next week from there to tell you about what's up and coming in esports here in California in the southern section. I mean, it's a sport now, right? Esports?
Yes, sir.
All right, joining us now is Randy Rosenbloom, and of course, Randy, with the LA City section. Randy, what is going on? Tell us about the new segment we have coming up.
We have a segment where we're going to have discrepancies. You know, it's all these scores that are really lopsided. We're going to enjoy that segment. We're going to poke some fun at these lopsided scores that are coming up.
That's right. This is kind of like when John Conte was playing football on his side. So they were getting beat every week, 85-0 and stuff like that. So, all right. So what's going on in the city, Randy?
Well, a lot of things are going on in the city. I mean, it's a lot of things are happening in a positive way. But I want to start with Santee.
Okay.
Santee is really playing some pretty good football. They're a Division III school. They're the #1 ranked team. Last week they played Manual Arts, who is the #2 team at Manual. And you can see the score, 49-20. They have a running back at Santee by the name of Joseph Todd. He scored 3 touchdowns in this game. Terrific running back, all city. It's a football team that rushes for 280 yards a game on the ground. And with the victory over Manual Arts, they pretty much are assured that they're going to win the Exposition League title. Year in and year out, that league has gone to Jefferson. And we're going to talk about the Democrats in a moment. But that was a big win to get that victory at Manual Arts. So it's Santee that'll undoubtedly go into D3 as the #1
So what
ranked
happened?
team.
How did Santee get in there, man?
Well, they're just better than everybody in the league right now. They're
All
more
right.
sophisticated, and they got an all-city running back who's just really good. And Jefferson is really young. Now, Jefferson beat Angelou. The final was 56-3. There's the halftime score. We put that up because it was so lopsided at intermission. The second half was a running clock, and it was really Jefferson running their wing tee. Not a lot of people run this. They came out throwing out of the wing tee, hit for an early touchdown. This game was 21-0 after 1 quarter. They scored another 21 points in the second quarter, and real quick, and then they ballooned it to 56-0 early in the third quarter. They just out of that wing tee. That's an old formation nobody sees anymore. There's only 2 or 3 teams in the entire city running this kind of offense, and thus it's very tough to defend. Then you throw Angelou in there. They came there with 20 players. They banged up.
I don't
They didn't have
understand
enough
why
kids.
more teams don't run the wing tee, because the wing tee, if you look at the team that scored the most points in the country, it was a team that ran the wing tee, Markham from Bloomington. He scored like 800 points in 1 year. You know, they were averaging about 100 points a game, and it was ridiculous what they were doing with that wing tee. And they won the CIF, about 3 CIF championships using that wing T formation. So I don't know why more schools don't. It's almost
I agree with
impossible
you.
to stop.
Yeah, it's so deceptive.
Yep.
It's the old triple option philosophy, and if you can learn to pass out of that, and that's what Jefferson with the young football team's trying to improve on really for next year. If you can pass out of that, you are really tough to
Don
handle.
Markham said on his wing T offense, when he had Cheyenne Caldwell and Oliver, the running backs, those guys were great. He had four pass plays in his whole playbook. That was it. 4 pass plays. Short, long, Hail Mary, and busted play.
Well,
That's it.
Don't you think that sometimes when people do, it's just like the Wildcat. You know, teams will run it for a year, defenses start to figure it out. Back in the day when I was going to Washington Prep, we ran the wishbone offense. And that tended to be very successful early on, but as
You know what
teams
happens
catch
to
on,
wishbones? They get broken, my
Yeah,
brother.
it
You know what I'm
happens.
saying?
I got some good news out of the city. We
right.
got to talk about this. Taft scored. They were shut out in their first 6
That's
games.
right, Taft
They had
scored.
given up
Breaking
372 points. 372 points. They finally scored against Granada Hills. They ended up losing the game big. Granada beat them 62-21. But the Toreadors get on the board, so no longer just those zeros all season long.
You gotta love it, man. Now there's a lot of city section flavor in the National League Championship Series this year with the Milwaukee Brewers and the Dodgers coming up.
Yeah, that's Ryan Braun, who played obviously at Granada Hills, was a fabulous player there for the Highlanders. And Mike Moustakas, who played in the same West San Fernando Valley, he played for Chatsworth. Now, Mike was this dominant all-city hitter at Chatsworth. He hit 52 homers, which was a state record. But when you look back, one thing Ryan Braun has over Mike Moustakas, in high school, he hit a homer at Dodger Stadium. And obviously, they're going to be playing the Dodgers now. Braun hit it in a lower division city final. Moustakas had 2 city championships that he played on and won, but he never hit it out. He just got singles at Dodger
Well,
Stadium.
hopefully it won't get started now.
Yeah.
We also know on the other side of that, on the Dodgers, Turner. Man, Turner went to Mayfair High down the street, man. Good football player and now an excellent third baseman for the Dodgers.
A couple other city notes. I do want to go over my top 10, and it always starts with Narbonne. Now, Narbonne really, you talk about lopsided scores, really handled San Pedro. They're number 1. Garfield is in your no-love club, but they're just easing through in their league, in the Eastern League. They haven't had a close game. No game closer than 21. Eagle Rock, we'll talk about them coming up in our light up the scoreboard in a moment. San Fernando has really come on. They're playing well. They're starting to play a little bit better defense. They always run the ball well. Birmingham's been there all season long. Venice, great offense, but they pitched a shutout last week, 42-0 over Uni. Carson was idle. Palisades with a huge win over Westchester. Franklin continues to roll in the air, but last week they got the ground game going against Wilson. Angelo Vega there rushed for over 200 yards and had 3 touchdowns. And Reseda has bounced back nicely since an earlier loss against San Fernando. They've been over 50 in their last 2 games, so I have the Regents in the top 10.
Well, I just want you to know that Franklin and Eagle Rock were up for consideration for the No Love Club, but Bob voted him out.
Why did he do that?
Bob was the dissenting voter.
Bob shouldn't have done that.
He
especially-
did it.
I have a question, though, because just the same way kind of last week we talked about Servite with their record being in the top 10. I'm going to ask you about the same thing when it comes to, could you put that graphic back up one more
Put it
time?
up.
Because somebody was 3-4. Carson.
Well, they played a tough schedule. They played some Southern Section Powers. They played some schools from Hawaii. And I think now that they're in the Marine League, they're probably going to lose to Narbonne, which everybody does. They'll finish 5-5. They're going to end up being the second-place team out of the Marine League, and they'll get into the tournament. They'll get into that open division Final 8. Carson has got a really good defense, and against city competition, they're pretty dangerous. Again, beating Narbonne's another story, but I got to have Carson in my top 10. Now, a couple other good games. We got some good games next week, some upcoming games. To me, the interesting game is that one on top, Locke at Dorsey. Locke's very good. They have a nice running back, Trayvon Ford. He's really done a great job for that Locke football team. Dorsey's starting to come on, both undefeated in the Coliseum League. The winner of this game will be the challenger to Crenshaw. There's Pally. We talked about how great their defense is. They'll really get challenged this week against Venice, who can really throw the ball with Luca Diamant. And Banning and San Pedro, the loser of that game, is not going to get to the open division. We'll have no chance.
All right, Randy, let's get up to light up the scoreboard,
Gotta
baby.
light up the
scoreboard.
We're going to have some fun with this segment. There's some very interesting scores as we light up the scoreboard. Here it is. Angelo Jefferson, we already talked about that in the wing team. By the way, Angelou had 2 players on their football team that weighed over 400 pounds, but they still couldn't stop Jefferson because they just didn't have enough players. Now, you look at Eagle Rock, their last 3 games have been 68-0, 70-0, and this 67-0 win. They are just dominant in the North League. That's 205 they've been 205 points not being scored upon, and there's Corona Centennial over Corona as well.
Let's leave this up for a minute. Now, you're telling me Angelo has 2 guys 400 pounds?
Yes.
Can't stop the run?
And they can't control the game?
Well, they're on the inside. There's nobody on the outside.
You don't need anybody outside. You get your running back, and you grab onto both their belts, put the ball under your chin, and tell them to go. That's 5 yards a carry.
Yeah, but they can't get to the outside on those
Don't
sweeps,
need
so
to,
everybody
man.
was turning their corner.
You got 2 water buffaloes in front of you. I would get through that. I would be gaining yards.
We got a couple more scores we got to put up there. Here's Orange over Costa Mesa, 81-0. Wow. I don't know how you do that when you have a running clock in the second half.
It happens, man.
And then on the bottom there, you see that Coast Union, 104-0. That's an 8-man game up in Cambria. That's where they're from, Coast
104,
Union.
huh?
104-0. I can see it a little bit more in an 8-man game. It's plausible because
you know what?
you can't cover the field as much.
As outrageous as that game was at Coast Union, Cumberland College scored more than twice as that.
They did.
Twice as many points, 222-0.
Well, we put 104-0 up, but then we stopped at for the other game.
Oh, that was halftime? I'm sorry, that was halftime.
No,
This
that's
is
not halftime.
No, that's halftime.
Well, wait a minute. Those 2 teams, Coast Union and Maricopa, neither one had won a game coming in. They were both winless, but now the Coast rises 104-0.
I kind of like that.
Wow.
All right, go back to the Centennial score because I got to talk about that real quick. Now, we talked about, I forgot who they played a couple weeks ago, Mo, but their opponent had scored 84-0, all right? It was 84-zip.
Oh, yeah.
And we told you, I think it was Valley View, and we said, look, when you score 84 points on a team, you shouldn't be scoring 84 points on anybody. You should have your 3rd-string running back, your tight end should be playing quarterback, your tackle should be playing wide receiver at this point. Have some fun with it, all right? And I told you, karma comes around. You cannot do that to people. And the following week, Corona Centennial came out, and it wasn't against Corona that this happened. It was against Valley View, I think it was.
Something like that.
And Corona ended up blowing them out like 77-zip.
Getting back to that Jefferson Angelou game, very good point, Jeff. They had the big lead, and Jeff just killed the clock on the running clock. They didn't try to score in the second half and just ran it out.
56 is acceptable. But once you get past that 60, 70 mark, man, you can't get into the
So how you feel about the 104-0?
It's an 8-man game. It's a different game.
It's a different game.
Different game.
They still score touchdowns and kick field goals.
I think that was 40 below the highest scoring 8-man game ever, and it's still over 118 points below Cumberland College's 222-0. What do you want from me?
I don't know.
All right. All right. Let's take a look at the national scoreboard real quick, or the national top 10. And it's still Mater Dei Bosco at the top. They will meet this week. We're going to talk about that right after this segment. St. Louis, Hawaii is just going to keep rolling through the islands. That's all they have left. St. John's of D.C. Had a big win this week, as did Corona Centennial. Corona Centennial is just itching to move up a little bit. I'm telling you.
They're ready to go to number 3.
Well, they're going to have the chance when the playoffs
Well, they certainly will. Colquitt County, that's the class of Georgia. They're still moving on. De La Salle here in Northern California, still rolling along. They got Central of Florida.
You better get that one right,
Not Central
Rich.
Florida, Central of Florida.
Get it right.
So many knuckleheads out there. But anyways, they're number 8. They are pretty close to your boys out there with IMG, but IMG, again, can't qualify for this. Allen, Texas, besides Mater Dei already beat them. Allen, Texas, and St. Francis do not play anybody in the top 100, in the top 110, in the top 120.
I don't know how you can be 3-0 and be in the top 10 with all the collisions that we've had within the top 10.
Well, I'll tell you what, St. Francis, just for the interest of fairness, they may have had a top 20 team on their schedule, but remember, the Hurricanes came through there and wiped everybody out. That's why they only played 3 games, and that's why D.C., who is it, St. John's has only played 6. They should actually have 7 or 8. They play a lot more games on the they play a little bit earlier, most of the
All right,
schools.
you make me feel bad about trying to kick them out of the top 10.
Nah, it's okay. You know what? Nobody's safe in that top 10. Anybody could go at any
Anybody
time.
can
And
go.
You're all out.
Anybody can
All right.
go.
All right, let's go to the matchups this week. We have to talk about Bosco Mater Dei, number 1 versus number 2. This is Prep Super Bowl 8. That's how they're billing this one. Legit. 2 teams not only are in the same state, they're in the same league. How does that happen? How does that happen? All right.
Tradition. That's how it happens.
This is the 8th Number 8, this is Prep Super Bowl 8 is what they're calling it. Prep Super Bowl 7 was won by Modern Day last year over Bishop Gorman. First time a team from California beat Gorman. The year before that, the winner of Prep Super Bowl 6, Corona Centennial, 62-52 over Bosco. All right? And Corona Centennial took their foot off the gas after halftime because they were up big. All right? So, by the way, Long Beach Poly's played in a couple of these. De La Salle's played in a couple of these. So California is represented in 90% of the first Super Bowl 8s. They just tear it up.
Well, I think we're going to take this to another level. This is the Trinity League Super Bowl, Rich.
That's it is. All right, we're out of time. I can't believe that.
What?
So finish this
What?
up.
I can't tell you
All
who's
right,
going to win this
Randy,
game.
I'm picking Modern Day. I'm picking Modern Day by at least 2 touchdowns. Who do you got, Mo?
Oh, okay, I'm not going to even try to front. Modern Day.
I like
3
Bryce
points.
Young. I got to go with Modern Day.
All right, Modern Day consensus here. Is that it? Are we done, Sage?
What? We
Are you
gotta go?
serious?
Show's over?
All right,
This
that's
is
it,
amazing.
man.
What?
Wow.
On
We got
behalf.
so much more to talk about.
Do we or don't we? All right, Centennial Norco, another good game, crosstown rivals. Norco's quarterback is from Centennial. He used to play for Centennial his freshman year. Now he's at Norco, so there's a little backstory to that one. I expect Centennial won by 2 touchdowns at least or more. The other game we have on tap real quick is St. Paul taking on Harvard Westlake. This is for all the marbles, my friends. It's early on, but they're still going to go. St. Paul, Westlake. I'm picking St. Paul in this game.
Oh,
by a
Harvard
touchdown.
Westlake.
I'm going with St. Paul. Harvard Westlake struggled earlier,
Yep.
but they've improved as the season's gone on, but St. Paul's a better football team.
Right now they are.
Sure.
Is that it, Sage? We got any more time? Because I'm confused. Oh, we got to stretch. I guess we had 10 minutes left, man.
What?
All
Oh,
right.
it was like 1-0.
All right, so now that you guys get an extra 10 seconds, you really want to stay with that Modern Day pick, man? I thought you were talking
Look,
Boston
man, I'm
all
trying to
week.
tell you that I was totally thinking, where's that game being played at? Santa Ana Bowl?
Yes.
Oh, St. John Bosco by 7.
Here's all right.
Modern Day's going to win
Modern
the
Day's
game.
going to win this game. Have you seen Bosco's defense? They allowed 28 points last week.
Larry, I
Modern
thought
Day
you
doesn't
said
allow
we was
more
going to do a
than
dream
10 points.
sequence. I thought we was going to do a dream sequence, and I was going to be able to repick. No? Okay.
No, it's over.
Modern Day by 21.
All right. You know what? It's time for us to grub. That's all I got to say.
You hungry?
On behalf of Randy Rosenbloom, Mo Orr, Amr Estrella, saying so long, everybody, from your friends here at the SoCal Prep Report. See you next week.
That was
Where
wild.
you at?
That was wild.
Bob!
Bob got fired today. He's done.
Lost his job.
Sorry about that, Bob. It happened. Adios, everybody.
What's happening in LA? I'm Arian Alexander. The spooky season is upon us, so here's some of LA's best thrills and chills to get you in the Halloween spirit. It's time to get freaky this Friday at the San Fernando Valley Drive-In. Cruise on in and watch a double feature screening of Hocus Pocus and Christine. Feel spooked, sparked, and spunky at this awesome event. There will also be a variety of food trucks and a special glow-in-the-dark performance. This is an authentic retro-style drive-in experience where you listen to the movie from the comfort of your car stereo. For tickets, visit myvalleypass.com. Every weekend until Halloween, you can hop on the Los Angeles Haunted Hayride. Get lost in 4 scare zones as you explore SoCal's only true dark maze. Go door to door in the most terrifying neighborhoods, ride the scary go-round, see a psychic, catch a show at the Theater Macabre, and tons more in your own personal purgatory. And of course, the iconic Haunted Hayride, in its 10th year, will be the best it's ever been. For times and tickets, visit losangeleshauntedhayride.com. This Halloween, let's hear you howl. Treat the imagination at Boo at the LA Zoo, where you'll find spooktacular entertainment and activities. Get up close to creepy critters, take a spooky stroll and discover Halloween games, a pumpkin patch, and boo! To full photo ops. Check out fearsome feedings and watch as the animal residents enjoy seasonal treats all their own. Costumes are encouraged. For details, visit lazoo.org. It's going to be a fun week for the kids, and the kids at heart. I'm Arian Alexander, and I'll bring you more next week here on What's Happening LA.